Basil Hayden's ranked. Now, Basil Hayden.
Not really our
Hayden's.
jam. Historically.
Mainly because of the proof.
The proof.
Self-proclaimed proof hounds, but we can appreciate lower proof things, right?
Well, we started somewhere, right? And it wasn't at a barrel proof.
But we historically have said bourbon kind of starts at 86 proof and goes up from there for us. So we've kind of left Basil Hayden's, but it's obviously very popular.
So popular. Like, I feel like a lot of, new bourbon drinkers really latch on to Basil Hayden because it's so approachable and light and easy, and it comes in a pretty bottle, and it's easy to find. So people are always like, hey, why'd you leave Basil Hayden out of this list? Why don't you guys ever do any Basil Hayden's content?
Right. So we thought we would do that. And the most fair thing that we could think of is to taste them blind and rank them. So we sort of scored them, wrote down our feelings, and then revealed what it was. So we're gonna start with number 9. Coming in at number 9 is...
The Dark Rye.
The Dark Rye, not a Thor movie. That's The Dark World.
It's so sweet.
No, it's sweet. We're not here to, try to trash the entire
No, I don't wanna.
brand, but this is our least favorite of the 9, so they only get better as they go up. Whoa, as you said, kind of almost sickeningly sweet nose.
On the nose, it reminds me of like a cocktail that has orange juice in it, but it's just like too sweet. And it's not even orange juice.
Yeah.
More like I don't know, when we were kids.
Sunny D?
Yes, Sunny D.
Got the purple stuff. Oh,
it's
Sunny
not
D.
quite orange juice. It just smells so sweet and like almost tangy.
It's like having A1 sauce on a steak, because I can taste the steak underneath, which in this case is the bourbon, but that tangy sweetness, which is the dark rye, is covering that up. It's just sort of slathered on there. And that makes this our least favorite. I said they only get better from here. Let's move on to number 8.
At number 8, we have the Caribbean Reserve Rye, which is a rum finish.
Typically, we love rum finishes.
I do normally love rum finishes. This one was very overwhelmingly like maple on the nose. I remember when we poured it, it was just like smelling pancakes and maple syrup.
Now this is our second rye in a row. Maybe Basil Hayden's doesn't do so well with the rye. I mean, they were a bourbon first and foremost. I don't know, but I really think it's what they add in here, which is the black strap rum.
So the thing to remember with these last two is that with the dark rye, they do blend the rye whiskeys, but they add port into it. It's part of the blend. And then this one, they add that blackstrap rum into just a touch, it says, but it's added. So I think that's what's giving the extra sweetness to these past two.
Right, so to clarify, you're saying instead of taking the bourbon or the rye and putting it in an empty rum barrel, they're actually pouring in some blackstrap rum into the mix. And I think that comes across.
And I think that's what is giving these past two so much sweetness, that overwhelmingly influence from the port and then also the rum. Banana pancakes with maple syrup and walnuts. If you're into it.
Coming in at number 7 is the 2x2 Rye. You guessed it, another rye, our third rye down here at the bottom.
But Chad, we like rye.
We do, we love rye actually.
Kentucky straight rye whiskeys blended with Kentucky straight bourbon whiskeys. That sounds fine. We got no other alcohols mixed in here.
Nope.
What's not to like?
Well, it wasn't so much that we didn't like it, it was just so boring and flat.
It came across very flat, but as you'll see, we've put a hurting on this bottle. So like, if we're not that into it, then how did it get so low? And a few years ago, we were taste testing some food pairings and found that this bottle goes particularly well with crackers and brie and apricot jam.
We actually love this with that food pairing. By itself, it's just boring.
It's just okay.
Yeah. All right, 3 down. Before we get to the top 6, we want to tell you about today's sponsor, which is Magic Spoon. It is cereal reinvented. It comes in at 4 delicious flavors. You got cocoa, fruity, frosted, and my favorite, peanut butter.
Which is anyone's surprise, Mr. Nutty Squad over here loves the peanut butter flavor.
Oh man.
Yes, but as Chad said, it is cereal reinvented, which for me is important because it's 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 to 5 net carbs per serving. And I'm always telling him he needs to get more protein in the morning because he gets so cranky.
I loved having a big bowl of cereal, Saturday morning, really any mornings. But you grow up and you start actually looking at the things on the side of the box and you're like, okay, this isn't the best. So I cut out cereal for the longest time. But now here, grown-up me can get the best of both worlds and have the nostalgia and the taste of cereal back. Well, grown-up me still knows that I'm eating good stuff.
And let's be honest, Chad, we're not just having it in the morning. You like to enjoy a handful or two of this after, a Sunday night live. And at only 140 calories, it's not a bad late night snack.
And here's the best part. Down in the description is a link where you can go and get a variety pack and enjoy $5 off your total purchase by using promo code BOURBON. That's from It's Bourbon Night.
That's us.
Or you can go to magicspoon.com/bourbon and get that same deal.
And it's backed by 100% happiness guarantee. So if you order it and you try it and you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money. All good.
So click that link down below to get $5 off your total order and enjoy cereal again.
All right, we're back, and coming in at number 6 is the Basil Hayden Tenure Bourbon. Truly, we're shocked by this one. Did not expect it. If you had asked us to rank them based on perception alone, this one would have ended up at the top, along with the Tenure Rye. There's people out there going, why? It's 10 years old. How is older is better? What's going on?
Not always. We've learned that proof isn't everything, and also age isn't everything.
It is very mild. It's very mellow. It does have a little hint of some more mature notes in there on the nose. I feel like it's just so watery. It just kind of tastes like oak flavored water. I don't know.
Yeah. And this could also be the result of taking the things that an older bourbon like a Tenure bourbon or above gives you, like a little bit of that tobacco, more of the barrel, a little bit of leather. When you water it down to 80 proof, it can just react differently, right? Than
that's fair.
Whiskey that's had less of those flavors imparted into it because it's not been in and out of the barrel as much. Don't ask us to explain it. We just know this is how it happened blind. And we should also say we took our top 6. We really concentrated about going back through on those top 6. So this one got a fair shake.
It did.
A few times.
Yeah. I will say though about this one is that I feel like it is very approachable. You get the basics like a hint of caramel and vanilla and a hint of oak, and it's very easy and low proof. We both said that we thought like anyone could drink this. Like this could be a great first bourbon for somebody to introduce them. Now it is more expensive at that $70 mark, so you may want to just stick with the regular Basil Hayden. But I said even my mom, who hates bourbon, could maybe like this because it's so easy.
Coming in at number 5 is Basil Hayden's Subtle Smoke. Another kind of surprise.
Well, I think it was surprising because we hadn't tried it before. We put it in this flight. It was a brand new bottle for us.
Yeah, this is the first one on our list that's featuring the new bottle design.
And I think normally for us, the idea of adding extra smoke can get into, smoky, peaty, scotchy territory. And that's not usually where we gravitate. So I would have thought that I would have ranked this lower.
I think it was just, your normal typical baseline 80 proof Basil Hayden's, but then given a little extra flavor, which I think when we were trying to blind, we were like, oh, well, this has more personality to it. It
definitely has personality, and it retains more flavor at that lower proof than some of these others.
I think maybe you could blind see this as age, like, oh, this one has more barrel notes. I think this, maybe this is the Tenure, I don't know. A little bit of barbecue in there. I think that's from the
hickory
smoke
toasted barrel.
Yeah,
it kind of gives me like sitting by the campfire in the fall feeling. I don't know, it's just warm and blind. I don't know that I would have said that I thought that this was 80 proof. At number 4, we have the Basil Hayden Tenure Rye. So what you're telling me, Chad, is that we didn't put either of the Tenure products in the top 3.
That's what I'm telling you, Sarah. Well, from the nose and also from the palate, we were kind of guessing this is probably a rye. Dill in there a little bit.
But not a lot, just little hints that let you know it's a rye.
Put this up against any other rye and, be like, I don't know, maybe it's a high rye bourbon.
Yeah. The rye characteristics in this one really elevate the flavor profile to kind of give you, again, some more of that personality, which is what bumped it up higher in the list for us.
Yeah, another $70 to $80 bottle, so it's kind of a question if you want to be spending that on. But, again, if you are in that 80 proof range, if that's where you live, then this is going to come across differently for you.
Agreed. And this one does have a longer finish as well.
It does.
Which I think we've kind of made the case over the years that rye doesn't always need to be as high proof because it has those spices in the palate anyways that kind of make it feel a little bit higher proof. So I think this one's bringing a lot more character.
Okay, before we get into the top 3, we want to hit pause and tell you about our home on the internet. It's whiskyambitions.com. It's where you can get, of course, the glassware and hats and everything else. But now new t-shirts that both of us are wearing.
I have the It's Bourbon Night camp t-shirt on.
And bottle cut candles. More always coming soon at whiskyambitions.com.
And you can become a patron at patreon.com/itsbourbonnight for as little as $1 a month. And that is where we exclusively release our barrel picks and more.
At number 3 is Basil Hayden's Toast. Now, we've had this a couple times before we got a bottle.
The first time I had it, I was like, meh. That's pretty good. Well, it was at a festival and I'd had other pours.
Sure.
So when you bring something in that's, lower proof against all the other things I'd had all day, I remember thinking, that's not bad.
Yeah, then we had it blind to us as a toast at a Jim Beam function at the distillery. And I was like, I bet this is like Basil Hayden. It's pretty good. Like at that point, I hadn't had Basil Hayden in a while. But nothing about it jumped out. It said, hey, this tastes toasty.
So this one is finished in new toast charred oak barrels, not toasted charred oak.
That's their
thing.
Nomenclature.
It is. They have this. It's their artfully aged, segment, like the subtle smoke. Similar to the subtle smoke, that extra aging that whatever their process is that the wood is imparting really elevates the 80 proof spirit that's inside. I think it gives it a lot more personality. I think it's just bringing out a little bit more, caramels and vanillas and giving you that really subtle, gentle, toasted oak note. It's kind of comforting.
If I was to have this blind, I think my only real criticism of it would be, I wish it were higher proof, and not even knowing what proof it is. Like,
that's us for this whole flight.
I just wish it were higher proof. And people have said that, why don't they come out with a Bourbon version of Basil Hayden? Well, that's called Old Granddad, okay? But, this one not bad. Now, for the price, which was like $53 is what I think we paid for this one, I don't see the value price to what's in the bottle, but if it's given to me, I'm not going to complain.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I feel like of all the ones that we've had so far, I mean, this is a very reasonable price, whereas some of them have been upwards of, $60-$70. It has a nice long finish and some elevated flavors, so not mad at it only being about $10-$15 more than the regular Basil Hayden. At number 2, we have regular Basil Hayden.
The OG.
The OG. This was surprising, but when you think about it, like, this is their bread and butter, this is the product that they've been putting out since the beginning. Is it shocking that it ended up at number 2? Like,
I guess not. This has had the most R&D, right?
Right, the most work put into it. They blend a specific way to get these barrels, just the way they want them, so that this comes out the same every time.
Now, I could also hear people in the comments saying, this is an older bottle, so maybe that's why you put it higher, because maybe they don't make it like they used to.
It's not that old.
We didn't run out to buy the new bottle, but yeah, this one isn't that old.
I just think it has one of the better noses of all the ones. It's just very balanced.
I remember when we did a blind, we said this one had a longer finish. It had more there, and just going back and tasting it now, yes, it's still definitely sub 90 proof, but it's not just saying, hey, I'm a flat, boring 80 proofer.
No. It's maintained its flavors.
Something there. Now you put this up against higher proof ones, and then those flaws.
That's not what this ranking is about.
That's not what that's about.
The notes that are coming through, a little bit richer. I almost get some hints of that, like maturity, like a little bit of tobacco, a little bit of aged oak. But then, your vanillas and caramels. And again, at this proof, it's tough to pull out much more than that. I feel like it's still maintaining pretty good profile.
I feel like of the ones we've had so far on this list, this one has been the closest to giving a Kentucky hug. None of them have. Felt a little tickle down here of, hey, remember, you're drinking bourbon.
Yeah. After revisiting this one, I think I can see why people early on in their bourbon journey really gravitate towards this bottle. It ain't bad.
Which means coming in at number 1 is Basil Hayden's Rye. This is just the regular old rye and the non-tenure. Now, however, this is a 2017.
It was an exclusive release.
Exclusive release, aged and blended with a rye rebarreled in a new charred oak quarter cask. So not something you're probably gonna just be able to go out and pick up today. Yes. I would say of the Basil Hayden since 2016, which is when we started the channel, this one came out blind as our number 1.
I have to say that I'm not surprised that a rye came out on top. At a lower proof, I think the rye grain has an advantage of being able to bring a little bit more spice and interesting, unique flavors without being too muted.
Watching this episode from the beginning, you might actually be surprised because we had so many ryes at the bottom, remember?
That is true.
Yeah.
You get some nice warm baking spice, a touch of herbal, but not really. I mean, it's mostly like warm spices and pepper that tingle on your tongue, and it makes me feel like I'm drinking something that's higher than 80 proof. Not that proof is everything, but I really like that those flavors are bolder and more present.
It's an oldie but a goodie now, right? 2017. I've been here for a little while, but
for a hot minute.
Yeah, came in as number 1. We want to know from you all, Is Basil Hayden something that you're normally pouring? Is it something that helped you in your step up on your bourbon journey? Let us know your thoughts on Basil Hayden's down below. We want to hear it. And that's where we'll leave it. Hey, if you haven't subscribed us already, you can do so by clicking right up here. There's suggestions of other videos down here. Hope to see you over there in one of those. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Chad.
Okay. Until next time, drink more bourbon.